Board meeting of, what's today, September 23rd, 2025. My name is Russell Chin. I'm the acting chair for the evening. Chairman Akins is out. To my left is Mr. Himmel, Mr. Frankel, and Mr. O'Brien. And Ms. Griffin is to my right. She's the secretary. And behind me is Mr. Conlon, Director of Inspectional Services.
Thomas Williams coming through the door.
If you're going to speak tonight, I'm going to ask you to stand up and take an oath. So you'll stand up and you'll say that you swear to tell the truth during the hearing. If you don't get up and take an oath, then you're not going to be allowed to speak. So anyone who plans to speak this evening should stand up
You're
and
gonna
take the
talk,
oath.
stand up, stand up and
We're having a
speak.
little, we're having a little problem with the microphones tonight, so if you can't hear us, let us know. So do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matters now in hearing? Yes. Thank you. You may be seated.
Coming through.
Right.
He came through.
The other thing I need to mention to you is that
Yes.
there are only 4 voting members tonight, the 4 gentlemen here. So you need 4 favorable votes for your petition in order to have it pass. And there is 1 board member missing, where there would typically be 5. There are only 4. You need all 4 of us to vote in favor. If you feel uncomfortable or do not want to go forward with your petition tonight because of that, you can request that it be continued to another date when there should be 5 members present to vote. Is that clear? Okay. Is there anyone here who wants to have the petition postponed because of the reduction in number of voting members tonight? Or does everyone want to go forward? Going forward, okay. All right, so you would please turn your cell phones down or turn them off to vibrate so that they don't interrupt the meeting. You'll come up and speak at the microphone when your case is called so that you can be seen on the video as well as heard on the microphones. All right. Could I have a motion to accept and waive the reading of the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as presented, waive the reading.
Meeting of September 9th,
September 9th,
2025.
2025.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. All right. Except for those cases.
Yes, that's one. He had to sign the 65-day waiver, and he just came through the door.
So we're going to announce this case.
He wants to.
All right. First case tonight will be ZBA 25-26, Ward 1, Thomas Williams, for a finding to add a second floor to the existing dwelling and to construct a 5-foot by 8.11.5 foot addition squaring off the front of the dwelling on the premises numbered 174 Palmer Street, Quincy, Mass. Is the applicant present?
Yep.
When you come to the podium, please identify yourself by name and address, and then you can do your presentation.
Yeah, Thomas Williams, 174 Palmer Street, Quincy, 02169. I'm here representing myself.
Thomas, are you presenting digitally?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yes, you're welcome to plug into the HDMI cable right there. And that will hook you up to the TVs. If you need the bigger one, we can just pull the adapter right off. You got it in, okay.
There you go.
All right, thank you very much.
You are very welcome.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Thomas Williams. My wife and I are the owners of 174 Palmer Street here in Quincy. The property is a single-family home on a corner lot in a Res A district with frontage on both Palmer Street and Empire Street. We're respectively requesting a finding under Chapter 40A, Section 6, to allow a full second-story addition to our home, along with a small 5 by 8 foot extension at the front entrance, just to square off the entry facade. The proposed second floor will follow the exact same footprint of the existing structure, which is approximately 900 square feet. We're not increasing or altering any existing non-conforming dimensions, and we're not encroaching into any other required setbacks. As part of the work, we will raise the first floor ceiling height from 7 feet 4 inches to 8 feet 1 inch by adding a foot on top of the existing walls. The new second floor will have 8 foot 6 inch ceilings, and when complete, the home will have about 1,800 square feet of finished above ground living space, plus the existing 890 square foot unfinished basement. Right now the house has 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and the new layout will have 4 bedrooms and 3 full bathrooms, with 3 of those bedrooms upstairs, including a master suite with an ensuite bathroom, and then the shared full bath. So as I said, we're staying within the zoning limits for height, stories and setback. The finished home will be 26 feet 7 inches to peak, 2 stories total. The only non-conformities are the pre-existing lot conditions, caused by the lot's, shape and dual frontage, and we're not intensifying those in any way. Parking is more than adequate. We have a single car garage plus a driveway space for at least 2 more cars, giving us spaces in total, which meets and exceeds the requirement for Res A. We have approached this design with a clear, intention to ensure that the finished home remains consistent in terms of use, scale, height with other single-family homes in the neighbourhood, and most of our area are between 4,000 and 7,000 square feet, and many homes are already 2 stories. From the second floor as well, there will be a partial kind of water view without impacting any of the neighbour sightlines. Our addition reflects the existing development pattern and maintains the residential character and is consistent with the bulk, massing and height of surrounding properties. We believe that this is a kind of reasonable code-compliant improvement that supports modern family living while preserving the integrity and appearance of the surrounding neighbourhood. And for all these reasons, I respectfully request the board's support for our findings. And I'm open to any questions that you might have. Thank you for your time and consideration.
So, Mr. Williams, my understanding is you've owned the house since approximately 2022?
That's correct.
August?
Yes.
Okay. And we have received reports that it has not been kept up. It has been maintained in very rough, difficult shape.
Yeah.
That the lawn and the property itself has not been cared for.
Yes, I think that's reasonable. We did. We rented the property out probably 2 years ago now. We are intending to, as I said, make these improvements to the property and move back in with my family because we're not happy with the condition of the property. We feel that it's in our interest to move back into the property. It's a nice area. We got it at a very low interest rate, 2.85 or something like that, so it makes practical sense for us to move back there.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you, the neighbors are concerned with the history of maintenance of the property for the past 3 years, and they really feel that it's been in deplorable condition. So I just want to let you know that that is a consideration for this board. And I'd like to hear from the other members as well.
Yeah, I completely think that's justified. I don't have We have tried to make sure that the property is maintained. I myself go out to cut the grass. We have written several letters to the tenants asking them to keep it in a hygienic manner. We think they have improved. They've showed us pictures that we've requested to make sure that it's been kept to a certain standard. So there has been improvement, and we have all that documentation if that is required.
Do you have tenants in there now?
Yes,
And how long are the leases remaining?
the lease is year over year, so.
So what, how much more time is there on the current lease?
June,
June of next year?
Yes.
So you wouldn't be able to start construction until, what, next fall if they move out?
yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we would end the contract in June and then hopefully be able to begin sometime in July, yeah.
Could you live on Warmbeck Street?
That's correct,
And
yes.
so you rent out this one?
Yes.
I'm just trying to sleep, because you said you want to move in and it's going to be expanded for your family and
Yes,
so forth.
yes.
I want to just understand the timeline that you have in your mind.
Yeah, well, our youngest daughter will be starting school next year, so we want to stay in Quincy. The idea is to move back to the house sometime. We think it'll take 5 or 6 months to do the construction, at least that's how we've been informed. So we're talking about late fall before we'd be able to move in.
Sure. All right. Mr. Amel?
So you'd be selling or renting out Wamback?
Selling, yeah. We could rent it, but the rents are expensive there. But it gives us an opportunity to pay off our mortgage, so that's kind of what we're looking.
Because it
at.
wasn't too long ago, you were in here looking for a request to increase the size of Wamback.
That's correct, yeah. And that was denied. So we're moving on to the project at 174 Palmer Street, and think that's better suited for our needs. We were told the last time, I think the lot was too small for Wamback Street, and there was a variance to build out a little bit. The advice at the time was to build straight up and stay within the conforming, foundation line. So that's what we're looking to do at 174 Palmer Street.
And as Mr. Chin said, there's been a lot of complaints about the neighbors, of the condition, the amount of cars parked there. How many people actually rent there?
We have a contract that says 4 are supposed to be living there.
How many actually live there?
I would say there's an extra person in there, yes. There is,
Extra.
we know that, yeah. Yeah, we've pushed back on that. They've denied that there is, but I think we know.
Right, no more questions.
I have a difficult time with the neighbors' complaint. And you're coming here, and you might have had the opportunity to do something now in anticipation of showing up here, to clean it up, at least make some sort of an effort in there.
I think we have though. I could, if you want that proof, I can show you all the letters that we sent to the tenants that we were asking to meet a certain standard. We have reached out countless times. Yeah, it's not an easy process to remove tenants.
I mean, I agree that it fits with, your proposal fits with what's around you.
Yeah.
Okay, no questions at this time.
All right. You can sit down. Is there anyone in favor, anyone who wants to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone who is opposed? Oh, strike that. Do we have any letters from the?
We do not have any communications except from the DPW, who had no comment.
Okay. Is there anyone who would be opposed to this application? Come up and speak. There's no opposition. There is no one speaking in favor other than the applicant, for the record. Okay. My concern here is that when the owner came in before us for 6 Wamback, he was looking to put in a second kitchen in a single family, which obviously is not allowed. The neighbors have spoken clearly that 174 Palmer has not been cared for, and it sounds to me like the applicant doesn't have control over the tenancy situation. If there are more people occupying the premises than is allowed under the lease. And if the applicant is not able to manage the tenants, I'm not so sure he's going to be able to manage their ability to take care of the property regardless of what the lease says. He's owned it since 2022, it's now 2025, it's approximately, it's more than 3 years, actually, it's August 2022 that he owned it, and it's now September 2025. Been plenty of opportunity to get that property in good shape and to get the tenants in the proper shape to come before us. So I am not in favor of the application at this time.
I'm not in favor either, for the same reasons stated.
So I sort of think dealing with tenants like this, and you said the councilman was adverse?
The ward council has indicated that he is not in favor of the application because of the neighborhood opposition.
Yeah, I'm sort of disappointed that the neighbors aren't here to speak one way or the other, because we do give that significant amount of weight, TV going forward. Yeah, I would be okay with continuing this out for a bit and see if Mr. Williams can get this property cleaned up. I don't think relying on your tenants to maintain your property is the way to be going. It doesn't work, especially if you've, now, on a rarity, yes, but if you've seen that it's not gonna happen, then it's ultimately your responsibility, more so than just cutting the lawn, making it look like something you would wanna live with if you were one of your neighbors, not something that they have to suffer through. So I would extend it if that was the way you wanna do it, but I would not be voting in favor of it right now.
Like I said initially, I'm not comfortable if the neighbors are objecting to it. It does fit what's in the neighborhood, that's the one thing I see, but it doesn't matter because we have 3 opposed. And I would suggest give him some time to clean it up and come back and see it.
Mr. Williams, would you like to step forward? If we were to take a vote this evening, you would not have enough favorable votes to proceed with your application. You have the right to withdraw your application and then refile it at a time when you think that it would be more conducive to voting for it. Pick a date.
Yeah, we could put it off for, a month and a half, 2 months, and let's see how you take on the challenge of turning it into something you want to live in and live next to.
Yeah, okay, I take everything you're saying on board, and I don't disagree. It's been a challenge. I think you kind of brought it to the front that it has to be dealt with, so that's something on me as the landlord to deal with. So we'll get the property in working condition. I'll come up with some sort of another arrangement, for potentially new tenants, so we'll see, and we'll come back.
We have availability on November 18,
Yeah,
if you'd like to be put on that agenda.
that works, yeah.
Okay.
You might want to connect with that council too.
Okay, yeah. And okay, yeah. And we know some neighbors, so maybe we should put more emphasis on that.
Check the pocket print of the neighbor.
Make a motion, ZBA-25-26, Thomas F. Williams for a finding to add a second floor existing dwelling, construct a 5 by 8 by 11.5 addition, squaring off the front of the dwelling on the premise numbered 174 Palmer Street, Quincy. Make a motion to extend it out till 11/18/2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Williams, we'll see you then. Next case is ZBA 2530, Ward 1, Kimberly Rodriguez, for a variance to exceed paving parameters on the premises numbered 18 Bayswater Road, Quincy, Mass. Is the applicant present?
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Kimberly Rodriguez for the records, and I am here on behalf of Bulge Andrew Trust with beneficiary Ron and Jordy, Mr. Jordy. I'm here tonight in front of the board to request, actually the property owner is looking for relief on section 5.1 of the bylaws of Quincy, Massachusetts, in order to allow the extended front parking space that was placed at this property. Due to the unique shape of the land, it is as well as the pre-existing non-conforming conditions of the setbacks, it is not really feasible to comply with the 30% coverage on the limit that this regulation established, which creates a hardship. Additionally, this property was built as a 4-bedroom with only 2 parking spaces, which makes it kind of necessary that extra parking space in order to bring the property up to compliance under section 5.1.8, which established that a property of such size should have at least 3 parking spaces. Tonight we're here in front of the board hoping for you to consider this request, especially because we currently have as tenants a lovely family including 2 disabled veterans as well as a child with special needs. So this will definitely do their life easier while providing like a more reasonable use for the property. I would like to mention that the property owner is willing to remove 3 feet along of the property line in order to satisfy the regulation under 5.1.4. It is very important to mention that the paving at this location was done with pervious asphalt, and obviously to conserve the drainage requirements. That's it. Any comments or questions you may have, I'll be happy to answer as best as I can.
I have some questions, Ms. Rodriguez. So I couldn't really quite get who you're representing. Are you the owner of the property or a
That is
representative of the owner? You're the owner?
I'm not the owner.
You're not
I am
the owner?
representing the owner. It is under a trust, so I mentioned the name of the trust and the name of
All right.
the
Just-
property owner.
I just wanted to make sure I understood. Andrew Blodge, okay. So the work has already been done, and now you're asking us to essentially forgive the work that was done that was not done properly.
Yes, sir,
Is that
that is
right?
correct.
Generally, we prefer people to ask for permission to get things
So
done
do I.
rather than ask for forgiveness.
I totally understand that. What I found out in regards to that situation was there was a miscommunication between the contractor and the property owner, which led to this situation. I didn't dig too much into it. He told me this is what happened, we need to get it fixed, and we are here as a proof of good faith to bring the property up to compliance.
Sure. I need to clarify, you said that the asphalt that was installed was pervious,
Yes, sir.
and are you sure about that?
Yes, when I was going through the application yesterday, for some reason, I could not find a document that I had provided or uploaded there. I brought a copy just in case from the contractor, and if it states, that was a question from our engineer as well when submitting the plans, and I provided it to him as well.
I know.
Okay, Martin, I'm happy to take this copy.
None of us were doing this.
Thank you. One of the concerns.
Back the other way.
Look at me.
Sorry about that. One of the concerns that has been brought to the board's attention is that the asphalt is impervious. What has been installed there is impermeable to water. And we're concerned about the proper drainage at that location. You quite look close to the ocean.
Right on the ocean, pretty
Yes,
much.
yes.
I would be concerned too.
Yes, so that's why I asked you the question about the permeability of the materials that were installed. Your contractor is representing by way of an invoice that he used permeable asphalt.
Correct.
Have you had a second opinion done on that?
I have
To
not, because
confirm?
I wasn't required, like I didn't doubt it. If you would like me to, we can gather some more documentation and do the necessary proofs on it.
I also want to note that the ward councilor McCarthy has examined the situation and is not in favor of your petition. So, are you giving this to us to retain, or is this your copy?
You can have it. I have
Thank you.
the,
Go ahead.
It's in the packet, so.
Yeah, okay, oh, it's in the back, sorry. I'm missing that. Okay, I'm
I have
finished
this
with my
one.
questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, I went out there, it looks like regular asphalt to me, there's nothing special about it. And once again, we just do not like people coming in begging forgiveness, having never asked permission. So,
When was the impervious or pervious asphalt put in? How long ago was this done?
I'm gonna say it was over 2 months ago.
May 1st, 2025 is the date of invoice.
yep.
So, yeah, we're all kind of on the same page with the permission versus begging for forgiveness. However, I looked at it, water runoff is a concern. I mean, that's, because it's definitely not impervious, or it's not pervious, it's impervious. So, water can't get through it. How's that? So,
What it cannot get.
cannot.
Is
So
what you're saying.
that's gonna flow towards whatever direction is the lowest from wherever it's getting hit with water. So I'd like to know what the story is with that as far as drainage, and I'd also like to see that driveway is cut down to what's absolutely necessary for the 3 spots you need. I'm leaning this way out of a sensitivity towards veterans, disabilities, all that, rather than make this more of a problem for them in a spot that they might be comfortable in, that we try to work with it. So that's sort of my position, but I'm the only one.
Do we know how much they're exceeding the 30% by?
Just seeing the application, I don't have it in front of me.
The overage,
Hmm?
I do not know the overage.
We don't know the overage.
Oh.
Something else to
Huh?
something else to know.
Right, I prefer that before we take any action, we find out how much over it is. I mean, if it's 20% over versus 5%.
Well, we could have inspectional services going out there,
Make sure it's.
tell us how much it is.
Somebody, they must know if
Yeah,
they,
already,
Yeah.
since they filed a complaint, and then perhaps replace that with pavers or something. Would that work?
I believe so. I don't have the exact percentage of it, but I can tell you the setback from the back is just a few feet, and the setback from the front is just a few feet, and that portion on the side is counted as.
yeah, but I'm talking about the area of the whole parking. Says that it's exceeding the 30%.
So the land is 5,450 total. But I'm not quite sure if you are going to count, the property is sitting on stoots. So are you gonna count the, like what's under the
Well,
property?
yeah, it was presented to us as being in excess.
Okay,
So if it's in excess, I want to know how much in excess it is
it will be, okay.
before.
Yeah, and I'm kind of suggesting that we put
Put it
this
over.
off and let, if you want to battle, I mean, you can withdraw it, or you can battle through it. And that means you're gonna have to deal with the city, inspectional services, find out what the overage is, talk to your contractor, because he's kind of on the hook, especially now that we've seen it says pervious.
Yeah.
And see what he can do to make it so that it's not a runoff problem, and see where we go, you know, talk to the counselor.
So Councilor McCarthy.
Dave McCarthy,
Okay,
and let's see if we can figure out a way to make it work.
sounds good.
Would you like
Yeah,
to?
I can definitely approach the contractor because he's stating that that is the kind of asphalt that he laid down in the property.
He should be able to establish that for you so that we know and you know that it is pervious.
Mhm.
If that's what he's saying and that's what he charged you for. There's a lot of interest in that particular aspect, as well as the overage. Okay. We can put this over for another date to give you time to determine that, or you can go forward today with a vote.
Oh, no, I definitely not.
October 7th.
October,
Or November 18th.
October 7th or November 18th.
October 7th will work.
October 7th would be preferable. continue.
Short time.
All right, can I have a motion, please?
ZBA 25-30, Jose Rodriguez for variance to exceed paving parameters on the premise numbered 18 Bayswater Road, Quincy, Mass. We make a motion to put forward till 10/7/2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you then. All right, the next case is ZBA 2531, Ward 3, Kun Shu for a variance to demolish the existing front porch and construct an enclosed porch in the same footprint on the premises number 266 Beale Street, Quincy, Mass. Is the applicant here?
Yes, she is.
Would you step forward, please, and state your name and address?
My daughter speak to me.
That's fine, if your daughter wants to be present as well. If you both would just identify yourselves and your address for the
My
record.
name is Queen Su. This is my daughter's Emily. Tonight she should be. Good evening.
Good evening. My mom is the owner of the dwelling located at 266 Beale Street, MA.
You have to speak up, all right, because it's being recorded,
Talking to
okay?
into the microphone.
And don't be afraid.
Thank you.
Go loud.
Which is pre-existing non-conforming structure under the current zoning ordinance. Over time, the existing front porch has deteriorated to the point that it poses a safety hazard, particularly for my younger children, aka me and my siblings, due to uneven flooring, exposed framing, and lack of proper enclosure. I hereby respectfully request a building permit to remove, replace, and fully enclose the front porch. The new porch will occupy the same exact front footprint and dimensions as the existing structure, with materials and construction techniques brought into full compliance with current building and safety codes. Scope of work: demolition and removal of the existing porch includes framing, decking, and railings. Installation of new foundation supports and jolts as required. Framing, sheathing, and enclose of all porch walls and roof to match the existing roof line. Installation of code compliant flooring, guardrails, windows, and exterior finishes. Electrical work for lighting and outlets as applicable. Enclosing and rebuilding the porch in this manner will not alter the building's setbacks or overall appearance, but will ensure a safe, weather-tight environment for my family. I have attached the required drawings, specifications, and structural calculations prepared by a licensed design professional along with proof of ownership and survey. Thank you for your consideration of this application. Please let me know if any additional information or revised plans are needed to expedite review. I appreciate your assistance in helping me bring this pre-existing non-conforming porch into appliance and making it safe for my children.
Thank you.
Good job.
Did good.
I hope you're getting some kind of school credit for what you did. You certainly
At least
deserve
dinner.
it. I have a couple of questions. I'm not sure if you or your mother can answer them. Do you plan to have this enclosed area heated?
No.
It will not be a heated area? Okay. There'll be electrical outlets
Yeah.
leading to there, though?
Yes.
Okay. Will it have air conditioning there? Okay, do you intend to use it as a bedroom?
No,
What is your intention to use it for?
put my shoes outside.
Just to store your shoes and things like a
Like a
mud
mudroom.
mudroom kind of thing? Okay, sure.
Do you have a pass out? Do you have something to pass out there? I noticed you did.
Do you have a flyer or
Yeah.
something, handout?
This one?
Yeah.
I have them.
I have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is, I want to make sure I have the same thing. This is what you put on the computer? I believe I have the same exact thing. Yep, yep. Can I keep one copy just because it's bigger? Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I've been out to the property and it is, the porch does need repair. There's a lot of rot in the wood and so forth. It does seem like it's hazardous. I have no other questions, but the members may also have questions for you.
No, you're right, the porch does need attention. This is not bad looking for what you're doing. You got this?
Yeah,
Charlie?
I got one, thanks.
Thank you.
Don't leave yet. Mr. Frankel?
yeah, I'm just trying to, what relief, make sure we have the relief right. I just see one spot that they're taking down, they're actually just making the setback
I
smaller.
think it's the enclosure, right?
Yeah,
They need setback relief, is that what you're saying? They need setback relief? Is that what you're saying?
well, it looks like, well, actually, existing is 11.8 and requested is 6.2, so yeah, that's for front setback, so it's coming
Existing
out.
non-conforming, it's currently at
Oh.
11.6.
Pre-existing non-conforming, so they want to stay in the footprint.
Staying on the same line.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I went by as well. This is a big improvement for you, neighbors. I'm okay with it.
Likewise.
Thank
I
you.
just wish Mike Cabeas was here.
Yeah, you just said that.
You can have a seat. I'm going to ask if there are any letters that we've received.
We have received nothing in opposition or in favor, we just have the communication from the DPW.
Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll take a motion. I'm in favor of your application.
ZBA 25-31, Quinn Zhao, for a variance to demolish
Kunshu.
front porch and, and construct enclosed porch in the same footprint on the premise number 266 Beale Street, Quincy, Mass. We make a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
Thank you.
All in
Thank you,
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
Your-
you.
Thank you
Your
so much.
application was approved. ZBA 2548, Ward 3, Alex Lau for a variance and finding
Go if you want.
to manufacture/process pancake and noodle products to sell and transport to local restaurants on the premises numbered 146 Hancock Street, Quincy, Mass. Is the applicant or representative here?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rob Fleming from Fleming and Fleming. I do represent the applicant, L&L International. Alex Lau is the president of that corporation. So again, the address is 146 Hancock Street. It is a commercial lot fronting Hancock Street in North Quincy, improved by an approximately 4,200 square foot building on a lot size of about 8,400 square feet. This particular building has been used for a variety of uses. It's been vacant, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's been vacant from my client about 10 years. And I think it was last utilized as an electrical supply company. So the building, and I'll get into it a little bit more, the condition of it and things of that nature. My client, Alex, does not own the building. He'll be leasing it from a landlord. So his proposal this evening before this board, and it's refreshing that I'm representing a business coming into the city, you know, and a much-needed business as well. So this particular proposed business will be processing different food products, more particularly scallion pancakes. which, as you all know, are a cuisine in our North Quincy and Wollaston area. So much needed business. This particular business, does distribute, and I'll get into how that deliveries and things to wholesalers, but also will indeed be supplying these local restaurants as well. During the pandemic years, they were one of the biggest providers to the restaurant for this particular product. He's hoping to expand the products to rice noodles as well eventually, but I think he's starting with the scallion pancakes initially. The property is located in a Business C zoning district, which you would think would allow for this particular type of use. Unfortunately, it's allowed in industrial A and B, which is really minimal within the city of Quincy. So we are asking for a variance for this proposed use. You may have concerns with deliveries and things, so 2 to 3 times per week, a small box truck will deliver the ingredients used to make the pancakes themselves. Deliveries out from my client's business to wholesalers, to restaurants, 1 minivan, 1 small box truck, once or twice per day. So minimal deliveries and traffic in and out. He's anticipating 6-7 employees at the time. There is parking provided out front of the building, which they will park. There's really no visitors other than delivery trucks in and out. We are also requesting a finding from the board that this proposed use will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than what exists today. Important to say, they are not expanding the footprint of the building, they're using the exact building. However, the condition of it is such, they're gonna be doing a lot of repairs inside to get it ready and suitable for this proposed business. It's a needed use. Again, no expansion, using the existing building. There's really no traffic concerns here. We have the deliveries, which I talked about, minimal during the day and during the week. He has a lot of, he's anticipating to do a lot of improvements as well. Even prior to occupancy, he will be repaving the whole front parking area and entrance area for cars, as well as for delivery trucks, which exists today, but certainly needs to be redone. With that parking lot, there will be some landscape as well out front to make the property look much more presentable. It is right in the middle of some new residential, as the board knows. You've probably done some visits down there. So he wants to make the front of this building look as nice as possible for this particular use. There will be over time, not initially, but over time to do some improvements to the exterior as well. Painting of the building and make it look as nice as possible. So we do appreciate your consideration this evening. I think it's so important, as the mayor would contest as well, I'm not going to speak for him, but bringing in new business to our city, I think is great. And I think this business will do well. I think the product that they create here is needed and used at a lot of these establishments in these areas of Quincy. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been inside the building. I remember that there was a fire. I forget whether it was on the plumbing supply side or on the electrical company, electrical supply side. Do you remember where the fire was?
I don't. I'm not aware of that. Wasn't privy to that happened, yeah.
I don't remember which side, but it was a number of years ago I was over there.
Yeah.
The parking looked like it could be tight with 2 trucks and 7 or 8 employees to park and trying to get in and out. And then you also have the plumbing supply next door, so would do you have an agreement to use his side of the driveway?
Plumbing supply on the same property? Well-
That's the building. Are you taking the entire building, or are you leaving the plumbing supply and taking the?
No, it's the
electrical supply?
entire building that they'll be utilizing. So
Okay.
there's no other tenancies in the building.
Okay.
It's a little confusing from the front. It looks like 2 delivery bays, but it's only I want to say the left side will be the deliveries. The other side will be used for parking. So the trucks wouldn't be accessing that particular loading bay. It's just to the left of the building, yeah.
Okay, I had thought LYC Hancock. was-
That's where they bring everything in
Plumbing supply company that kept its plumbing supplies on the right side.
Okay, no.
Renting out the electrical part.
No, this is strictly his using the entire building
Okay.
for this particular use, yeah.
I feel better about parking.
Yep.
I have no other questions at this time.
How long would it take to get up and running? Paving, cleaning?
I'm gonna invite Alex Lau up to, he can probably speak to that a little bit and the work that has to be done.
Alex, how long will it take you to get up and running, get it paved, get it lined, get it ready to go?
The estimated times are 4 to 6 months. We'll get everything done.
Okay.
If
So
we are allowed
pretty
to.
substantial, okay, all right,
Yes, yes.
thanks.
Thank you.
Have you run this particular type of business elsewhere?
Before we was in Chelsea, and then when pandemic comes, and then we decide to close down, and then now we finally have a chance to try to restart again. Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not familiar with the operation. Do you need, like an oven, or how does it work? What's your preparation in that?
For the scam pancake, basically we just mix the dough with the ingredient, and then we freeze it, we pack it, and then we deliver it out as what is a frozen.
Oh, so they cook it when it gets to the site where they're gonna have it?
Yes.
Okay. One other.
Yep.
Your delivery trucks, where are they when you're not being used? Are they gonna be
Actually,
parked?
it's it's a small box truck and a minivan, basically, when we start. So we have plenty of space for we to even leave it in the parking lot, or we have.
So they're gonna be on the site overnight,
Yes.
outside?
Yes.
Okay, excuse me. Thank you.
One more question for you. Mr. Lau?
Yes.
Where will your dumpster be located?
I'm
Where will your dumpster or dumpsters be located
We having, most likely it will be the side of the building,
as we face the building, which side?
to the right-hand side, I would say to the right-hand side.
Okay.
I believe there's some, a stairway, on the right-hand side, we probably will,
So, could you show me on this drawing? Because it's a pretty narrow spot here on the right-hand side.
Okay, so we have a stairway right here, we will probably, we will probably put it right behind, right here.
So as you're looking at the building, it's on the right-hand side,
Correct, yes.
and there's a stairway on the right-hand side?
Yes.
Isn't that the left-hand side?
I'm not getting this. No, it's the left-hand
What's on
side.
that?
We're in here, we're in the
Oh,
picture.
okay.
It's a public passageway.
Exactly,
Okay.
that's the
So-
public right-of-way, that's.
Okay, so it's the left-hand side, all right,
No,
okay.
But
Looking at it.
Yeah, just looking at it on the left, it's a public passageway that you
I know we
designated.
have, some of them is, belongs to
So-
the
So
landlord.
does this property where the storage unit is that go with the property, or is it just in between that and the building?
The storage actually is between, but most of them it land on our side.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
As I look at, you can go back, thank you. As I look at the drawing, it looks like it's only 3 feet wide on the left-hand side of the building, between the building and the public passageway. I don't know how you would get a dumpster in there.
I would ask Mr. Lau how much trash is actually generated from the business itself.
Actually, most likely 4 to 6 yard of a dumpster. That's all we need for one or twice a week to remove.
So a 4 is typically on wheels and relatively
Yeah, like a
small.
rollaway.
Yes.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
think that would fit no
Yes.
problem in that location.
So that would be less than 3 feet wide?
No, if that will be the case, we will probably leave the dumpster inside when they come, and then we can
They can wheel it out.
roll
too.
it outside.
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know that a truck could get down that far to get that. I guess you could leave it in the front. You're saying leave it in where the parking is? You'd roll it out to there?
You could wheel it
we-
right out.
yeah.
So inside the Bay Area is a kind of a vast area. That's where everything is gonna be delivered through to other rooms in the building to prepare their product, yeah.
I raised the issue because of the residential
Sure.
dwellings that have sprung up down there, so
Understood.
close to this
Yeah,
to the
absolutely,
location.
absolutely. If you had any questions on the machinery and equipment they use as well, very, very quiet. So there's no real noises emanating from the building from the use of the equipment. It's really just mixers and things of that nature.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have any letters?
No letters in opposition or in favor?
No letters?
No letters,
In favor?
just the DPW that is okay with the
Okay.
project going forward.
All right, is there anyone else in favor of this application who would like to speak tonight? Anyone in favor? Is there anyone opposed to the application who would like to speak tonight? For those of you who might have come in after the swearing in part of our service took place, you're not going to be able to speak unless you get sworn in to tell, and taking an oath to tell the truth tonight. So I see some new faces that I didn't see before, that's all. Okay, so there was no opposition and there was no one in favor. It's up to us.
All night.
Yeah.
We haven't had one all night.
My only concern, again, really was the neighborhood and the fact that there will be some trash and food waste materials generated on quite a regular basis. In terms of lighting, are you going to have lighting that is only affecting the parking lot area, or will there be flooding lights that affect maybe the residential areas?
No, just the parking lot.
Okay. No, it doesn't require, is your landlord going to require you, as part of your lease obligation, to have contracts for pest control and vermin control and the like? And you'll have a written contract with them?
Yeah.
Do you have that in place already, or are you going to do that when you get approvals?
We're going to do.
Understood. Okay. So it's part of the lease obligation. Any other questions?
I have no questions.
I have a comment. I think that the property, any benefit to clean that place up down there, with everything around it being relatively new,
Yeah.
would be a positive
Yeah.
influence on the neighborhood.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely, I
So,
agree with you. I've been inside the building, there's fire damage in that
Yeah,
building.
right.
Quite extensive, actually. So it's helpful to know that you're gonna renovate substantially. So I'll be in favor of the application.
I'm in favor as well.
I am as well.
Likewise.
Okay, may I have a motion, sir?
Thank you.
ZBA 25-48, Alex Lau for a variance finding manufacture, process pancake and noodle products to sell and transport to local restaurants on the premise of 146 Hancock Street, Quincy, Mass, with a pest control contract as part of the leasing. We make a motion to vote in favor as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed? No opposition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. The last matter, right? Last matter coming up? ZBA 25-39, Ward 5, AH8, strike that, AHSC, Peabody Developer LLC for a variance and special permit to construct a 7-story residential apartment dwelling behind the existing QHA Tobin Towers building, which will consist of 94 one-bedroom units with 22 garage parking spaces, in addition to exterior surface parking on the premises numbered 80 Clay Street, Quincy, Mass. Is the applicant present?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, you correctly noted that my team was not here during the swearing in, so if.
Would you like me to swear them in now?
That'd be great.
If you intend to provide any testimony tonight at all, whether you're with the applicant or in opposition, you need to stand up, and I'm going to give you an oath, and you'll say yes, and then you'll be seated, okay? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in the matters now in hearing?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. You may be seated.
We're just trying to bring up our.
Oh, okay.
Now I had to light the flame.
Oh, we did.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Great, thank you.
If you would just introduce yourself by name and address, that would be
I'll
helpful.
be speaking, yeah. We can just go to the site plan, that's fine. Great, perfect. Thanks, John. That's perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Edward Fleming. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, as you noted, AHSC Peabody Developer LLC. The LLC is a private partnership between Affordable Housing Services Collaborative and Peabody Properties, two different companies joining forces in this particular partnership. I'm joined tonight by a number of different parties. For the applicant, I'm joined by Michael Matos, Dana Angelo, and Betsy Collins, as well as our professional team, including Jesse Johnson and Jonathan Law of Weston and Sampson. Jesse will speak in more detail about the site plan and drainage associated with this proposal. Jay Zemansky from the architectural team, who will speak about the architectural aspects of the proposal. And Doug Osler is from Weston and Sampson as well, and will speak about traffic. Doug will just answer any questions or comments or concerns that you may raise about traffic. This is a really interesting proposal, and I'm really excited to be part of the team because it's not a lot of, very often where I have an opportunity to create affordable housing, and never mind senior affordable housing. And this is a great opportunity to do so here. As you indicated, the property that we're talking about is 80 Clay Street, and all of you probably know it well as the home of the Quincy Housing Authority, i.e. Tobin Towers. It's a 105,600 square foot parcel of land. It's located within the Wollaston district, in a business C zoning district in the Wollaston Urban Revitalization District. The proposal that's before you tonight is a new structure on the back of the Housing Authority's property. And I want to kind of give you a little bit of background on not only the applicant, but about the proposal and how this has come to the hearing tonight. As I indicated, the applicant, oh, I'm sorry, I can go on this side. All right, I'll do that. As I indicated, the applicant is a private joint partnership between the two companies, Affordable Housing and Services Collaborative and Peabody Properties. The Housing Authority is not a partner in this transaction. This is not an extension of the Housing Authority property. This is a separate private deal that the Housing Authority has entered into with this particular partnership entity. So this is a private entity and not an expansion of the Housing Authority property. The history of this particular site indicates that the Housing Authority property has actually always been two parcels of land. The land on which their building is constructed was one parcel, and there was a secondary parcel in the rear of the property. And the Housing Authority, over the years, expanded on the back of their property, i.e. the back parcel of that property, and expanded the parking area. And what they did over the years with that parking area is they leased it out to a number of different property owners, a number of different businesses. So much of the parking that was actually utilizing that lot was not Housing Authority use at all. It was actually leased land to other businesses in the area. All of those lease agreements were expired on their own terms, and the Housing Authority moved on, and they designated that area of land as what they called excess land that the Housing Authority didn't need for its own operation. Over the years, as you've heard and you've seen in reports, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has been anxious to create new affordable housing. And what happened in this particular case is the Commonwealth of Massachusetts reached out to all of the housing authorities throughout the state, including the Quincy Housing Authority, asking them to look at opportunities to create additional affordable housing within their communities. And because the Housing Authority had already designated this land in the back of their site as extra land, excess land, the Housing Authority decided, in response to the Commonwealth's request, to put that land out for what they call an RFP, a request for proposal. And so the Housing Authority issued a request for proposal, and a number of different parties responded to that request for proposal. And the request that the Housing Authority issued was to create 100 additional affordable housing units on the property, on this back parcel. This group, like many other groups, responded to that request for proposal, and the applicant was chosen over all of the other applicants. After being interviewed, after discussion of their proposal, after a review of their background. The applicant has a long history of building and managing affordable housing units. And in fact, in Quincy itself, Peabody, a number of years ago, built Squantum Gardens, which many of you may be familiar with. Squantum Gardens is a 55 and over development on Quincy Shore Drive. Peabody went through the same or a very similar proposal during those years, permitted that, and has operated and managed that site for years. And that Squantum Gardens is very, very well received. It's provided folks 55 and older with affordable housing opportunities within the city. And that's what's intended for this particular site today. The proposal that we're going to share with you in more detail tonight is to develop the back parcel of the Housing Authority land with a new 7-story, 94-unit affordable housing development for seniors. Seniors in Massachusetts are considered 62 and older. So folks that are 62 and older have the affordable housing needs will qualify for this proposal. And my client can talk a little bit about the preferences that are going to be given initially. There's an interest, because this is a private development, there's an opportunity that my client has to provide for initially, during the initial lease up, to provide preferences for Quincy folks to apply for these units. There will be garage parking provided, as well as on-site parking provided for these new units. There's a total of 111 spaces on the back parcel. So although we're developing a big portion of the Quincy Housing Authority's existing parking lot in the back, we're creating parking under the building, which is going to maintain a number of spaces in this for this use, and for also maintain the exterior spaces for both the Housing Authority use and our use for this new proposal. And there'll be a number of different, I think, great improvements made, not only exterior improvements for this particular proposal, but also for the Quincy Housing Authority. And Jesse and Jonathan will talk about that in a little bit more detail, but there's going to be some great exterior amenities created for all the tenants in the building, as well as exterior amenities provided for the tenants in the new building. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Jesse Johnson from Weston & Sampson. Jesse can talk a little bit about the drainage and also the site-related matters. As you may remember, last time I was before the zoning board, we talked about the drainage in Wollaston and the flooding issues in Wollaston. And Jesse was part of he was invited and had an opportunity to meet with both the city's DPW department, but also consultants, to talk about managing drainage on this particular site. And this proposal, like the other residential proposals that you've heard before, will manage the drainage on site. This proposal also required site plan review. And so this proposal, like a lot of proposals that you hear on a regular basis, was already reviewed by the city's, all of the city's departments. It was reviewed by the city's planning department. It was reviewed by independent peer review entities that reviewed traffic, drainage, and all related engineering matters. And it has obtained approval from the planning board. It's a great new opportunity to create affordable housing, and we're excited for the opportunity. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Jesse to talk about this.
Hello, good evening. Jesse Johnson, Weston & Sampson Engineers. I'm the civil engineer of record for this project. And what I'd like to do is just walk you through how we arrived at the site design before you tonight. First, give you a little zoomed-in view of what the site looks like today to get you oriented. And what you're looking at is actually a result of a fairly recent project and redevelopment of this property. So back in 2016, there was a formal submission for changing this property to look to see what it is today, and to 2017 it was constructed this way. The big improvements that were made back then were to add a curb cut on Wentworth Road and to expand that parking in back that you see there. So you can see a lot of the parcel is already covered with impervious surfaces, access, parking, sidewalks, the building obviously. But what they also did at that time was they brought this site up to current, still current today, stormwater standards. So they had to incorporate underground infiltration systems, put in new catch basins, secondary treatment systems, and brought the site into full compliance. So when we inherited the site design, and we basically did our due diligence, we dove in and asked the current tenants of the building, tried to understand what was. Did I do something on that?
There it is.
All right. Trying to understand what were the current issues with all their infrastructure. Did they have any known problems with the drainage, site circulation, pickup and drop-offs? We really wanted to understand what the problems were before we introduced another design element to the property. And frankly, did a lot of concepts to try to land on what you see today. We did a lot of different building layouts, a lot of parking configurations, and we feel that the site design that we have now is the best fit for this property. In the back northern corner, that's our building, anchored there with that L shape, if you will. And what you see of the red arrows are changes to the site circulation. One of the things we really heard was that they had problems with pickup and drop off in the front of the building along Clay Street. It was creating safety issues where you'd have deliveries that would be blocking traffic lanes. You'd have people maybe picking up somebody or dropping somebody off. So what we did immediately was try to address how can we centralize that. So we put a designated pickup and drop off in the back middle of the property between the two buildings that would serve both of them. We've signed the front of it to say that's restricted, but also to tell people with wayfinding signs that they pull up in front that they can proceed to that entrance that's on the far northwest corner. And we've also changed it to a one-way circulation because it was a little bit narrow there for two-way. So we think this one-way circulation really just gives everybody an idea how to enter and exit the site on and off of Wentworth. And we also did another little movement with the other Clay Street curb cut where we are restricting that to now only be for two designated parking stalls and not have a full cut-through access like it currently does today. So those were some big design maneuvers that we thought really improved the safety. We got really positive feedback when we went through the planning board process and the peer review. And obviously, the current tenants were happy to see this type of design come forward. But when we did this, we also had to be considerate, obviously, the number of parking stalls we're providing, making sure we'd be able to serve the existing tenants as well as the new, and try to understand how to get people in and around the site safely. So that's what you see before you here is the parking count. We were able to keep exactly what it is now. So even though we added a building, we were able to put 22 parking stalls inside of the ground floor, but then also have 90 outside. And we were able to do that by just making some efficiencies with the parking design. Utilities were pretty general. Those were nothing really problematic to try to extend and get us ourselves our water and our sewer connection. It was really the stormwater that needed a little bit more thinking on how we were going to attenuate that runoff. As it was mentioned, we did meet with city officials to try to understand what some of the problems were in this neighborhood and even the site specific, and heard that even though our site was fully compliant with current stormwater standards, we were asked to try to do something beyond that. So what we did, and what our office does frequently, is we looked at rainfall amounts that they're called extreme precipitation. So even though the state only requires you to look at certain levels currently in their standards, we looked at some published data that's out there that is starting to be adopted more and probably will be adopted, frankly, by the state in the future. They call it the NOAA Atlas precipitation model. We incorporated that into our design so that we had an eye towards the future and what we'd expect for rainfall. But we also saw opportunities to make the existing system more efficient and add an additional system for getting the water back into the ground and hopefully try to prevent it from leaving the site. All those movements, even though, again, you see the change with the adding of a building, changing the parking, we were able to reduce the impervious coverage by 5% with what you see for a project. But the bigger thing was we were able to actually reduce the rate of the runoff leaving the site by 27% and the volume of the runoff, which was really the big thing, by 33%. So even with the redevelopment, we took 1/3 of that stormwater that's leaving the site now and reduced it with these proposed improvements. That was well received by the peer reviewer and the city staff with this change. And now I'll have Jonathan walk you through some of the other site improvements and give you a little bit more of the better things to look at, frankly.
Good evening, everyone. Jonathan Law, Senior Team Leader in the Design Group at Weston Sampson. I'm going to talk a little bit about the site design. So as Jesse mentioned, you can see the new L-shaped building in the rear of the site. And the approach we took when we looked at the design in terms of pedestrian access and how can we create new moments for people to sit outside and enjoy the outdoors as part of this new building. We improved connections in and out of the site from Clay, Wentworth, and Hancock. So again, new accessible sidewalks throughout the site. The entire site is graded at less than 5%. So there's no handrails, no stairs anywhere in and out of this new building. As Jesse mentioned, we also incorporated a central drop-off and pickup zone. You can see by number 3 there. We've also thought about pedestrian circulation in and around the new building. So again, sidewalks to each of the entrances. We've also created in front of the new building a shaded place for people to sit. So there'll be benches with backs on there so residents can come out and enjoy the outside. We're installing or proposing to plant many new trees, so reducing the effects of urban heat island on the site and the campus itself. We're also incorporating new LED lighting that again will improve safety. It's dark sky compliant, so there'll be no illumination going off from the site. It will all stay within the boundaries of the site. There is in the rear a dog run that will be screened by fencing and some planting again adjacent to the existing properties on Chapman Street. So again, thinking about how can we screen this new building a little bit from the abutters. And then just generally, like I said, site circulation throughout this site is drastically improved. Right now, if people want to get from the Tobin Towers out to Hancock, they have to walk through a parking lot. Once this design is in, there's, as I mentioned, ADA compliant sidewalks that take you from Tobin Towers all the way to Hancock and all the way to Wentworth in a safe passage and a safe route. I'll just go through a few more slides here that show some 3-dimensional renderings that will give you a better idea of the site design. This one is looking back up the new driveway between Tobin Towers on the left, the new building on the right. You'll see the new pedestrian drop-off space. Again, we've created a visual crosswalk that allows pedestrians to go safely through the site, illuminated each side of that pedestrian crosswalk, again, so thinking about safety at all aspects and times of the day. As I mentioned, new street trees that, again, will create some human scale against the building, but also provide shaded places for people to sit. Just swinging back around, looking at the main entrance and the seating area that I spoke about. Again, we can see we've developed the accessible parking to be within 200 feet of the main entrance, which is again meets all code requirements. Also, we've created some seating moments at the Tobin Towers building as well, so providing the residents in there with amenities that they don't currently have today. And again, thinking about how can we bring in some more planting to soften up the spaces that again helps to deal with stormwater. This is again looking back at the Tobin Towers on the right, the new building on the left. You can see on the first floor level of the new building, we've also created a small amenity terrace. So again, giving residents another opportunity to get outside and gather. And then adjacent to that, there's also a small green roof that again helps with the green infrastructure and stormwater management. And there is a view of that small terrace that people can enjoy. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jay Szymanski to talk about the architecture. Thank you.
Good evening. Jay Szymanski with TAT. We are the architects for the project. As has been mentioned, the proposed project is 7 stories. It includes 94 one-bedroom units. The entire building will be visitable by people with mobility impairments. 10% of the units will be fully accessible. The building will be designed for Passive House certification, for Energy Star compliance, enterprise green communities, and it will be PV ready. So what you're looking at here is the ground floor. It's an L-shaped building. The top wing in gray is parking, so there's 22 parking spaces. The darker gray areas are mechanical or back-of-house spaces, so electric rooms, the water room, trash and recycling rooms. And then on the lower wing in the sort of pink shade are all of the residential support areas. So the residential lobby, the mail room, the package room, the management suite, community room, there's a wellness room, and then 2 restrooms. So this is level 2. So all the blue boxes you see are 1-bedroom apartment units. At the bottom of the image, you'll see 2 pink spaces, the computer lounge and a fitness room. Again, amenities for the residents. The computer lounge has access to the roof deck that has been mentioned. There's also laundry on each floor. You can see kind of in the center of the plan. A trash room that provides chutes that empty out into the trash room on the ground floor, and then stairs and elevators. So this is a typical floor from level 3 through 7. Again, the blue boxes are residential 1-bedroom apartment units, the laundry on each floor, the trash room on each floor, and then the stairs and the elevators. These are just some images of another project that Peabody has completed, just to give you an idea of what the apartments will look like. High quality, durable materials, solid surface countertops, LVT flooring, LED light fixtures, low flow, plumbing fixtures. On the top right, you can see most of the units have an open kitchen, dining, living area. And then on the bottom right, you can see a typical bathroom, which will have grab bars for the senior population. This is just an image showing the proposed exterior materials. On the lower left, you'll see some brick, some fiber cement panel siding. On the upper left is a fiber cement plank product that has a variation of different colors to give kind of almost a masonry look. And then on the right side, you can see these materials from a different project used all together. So the fiber cement plank, the fiber cement panel, again, just shown on the different projects completed. Just go through some perspective views. So this view is as you enter the site from Clay Street. Tobin Tower is on the right of the image. The new proposed building is on the left. In the foreground, you can see the community room on the ground floor. The residential terrace is above that on the second floor. We have the brick base that runs around the entire building, and then it extends up on this particular wing that faces you as you enter the site. Right in the middle of the image, there's a pale red sort of rectangle. That is a location for proposed signage. So we're just identifying that. Again, that'll be sort of better defined as the future, but that's a proposed location for that. So this view is now from the other side, sort of from Wentworth, looking back at the entrance. Tobin Tower is now on your left. The building entrance is right in the middle of the slide at the bottom. And again, there's the red boxes show proposed signage locations. Here you can see that, again, that masonry base that runs around and also extends up on the entrance wing. So this view is from Hancock, looking back at the building. Here you can see that brick base actually steps up on this corner and then steps back down as you wind towards Wentworth Street. And again, a proposed location for signage. And then just some overall building elevation so you can get a sense of the building in relation to the neighborhood around it. So on the top view is, on the bottom view is from Hancock Street. So here you can see Tobin Tower in the background, so you can see the height difference between our proposed building and the existing. And the top image is looking the other way, so if you're in Tobin Tower looking out to this building. And two more elevations from the two sides. The top one is from Chapman Street, Tobin Tower on the right. Here you can see that brick that's stepping up and down the building as it works its way around. And then the lower image is from Wentworth Road, Tobin Tower on the left. And again, our building sort of stepping down to the lower scale neighborhood towards Hancock Street. believe that's the last slide. So with that, I'll hand it back off to Ed.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. And just to highlight the request for relief. So we have a number of requests that we're making tonight. One is a special permit. As you know, this is a Business C zoning district, which allows residential, and it has its own separate category requiring a special permit for continued residential use of this site. And we're seeking variances as well. Parking and issues related to parking have been addressed by the planning board during that process, and we had long discussions and reviews by both the city's traffic department, but also by the independent peer review to analyze that, and they've granted the special permit parking relief. Here, we're requesting variances from the minimum lot size per dwelling unit, requesting 346 square feet per dwelling unit, whereas 500 is required under the Business C zoning district. We anticipate that the new Wollaston overlay district, however, will be more like 328 square feet, so it will be in excess of what will likely be allowed in Wollaston overlay district once it goes into effect, awaiting MIPA approval. And we're also asking for height and number of stories requests. So the height provisions cap height in Quincy for residential buildings at 60 feet. This is a 77.8 feet, maybe up to 80 feet when fully constructed. However, it's significantly lower, as you know, from the Quincy Housing Authority building, which is 12 stories in height. And in fact, 91 Clay Street, which is just across the street on Clay Street, is also 12 stories in height. So this is an area that the Quincy City Council, in determining the Wollaston Urban Redevelopment District, actually proposed 8 to 10 story in height limitations. So once the new zoning goes into effect, 10 stories is going to be allowed in this particular area, which is behind the CVS from Beale Street. And we're also asking for green space relief as well. Although the green space is actually significantly improved. As you can see, there's quite a bit of new plantings that are being added, as well as exterior space for both the tenants of this new building, but also the Quincy Housing Authority. As I indicated, our traffic engineer, Doug Osler, is here as well. If there's any questions that this board might have around traffic or even parking, we can certainly respond to those questions as well. So that is our presentation tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a few questions. I'm not sure which one of you would like to answer. There was some provided to me. What is the height of the overhead garage door on the first floor level of parking?
9 feet.
9 feet. And where would your snow storage be located on site?
We have a few designated.
Yeah, we did indicate those.
It's number 10 on the plan.
There you go. So we do have a couple opportunities, yeah. All the 10 designations throughout.
So there are 4 separate areas?
Yeah, we have some bulk areas.
And are the windows going to be operable, stationary, or a blend?
A blend. There'll certainly be operable windows, but not every pane will be operable. So each residential unit will have operable windows.
Okay. And for the higher levels, will the operability of the windows be so that someone could, it would create a danger to one of the residents?
There's a restriction. It only opens 4 inches.
Okay. You already spoke to the drainage. The drainage is being taken care of on site. You've had an engineering
Yes.
done. Will any of the impervious parking that you mentioned remain after you've completed your development, or will there still be impervious parking spots over there?
Yeah, so we're trying to utilize as much of the existing layout as we can, given the fact that it was just installed back in 2017. It's actually still in pretty good shape. So we spent a lot of time trying to see what we could preserve, try to minimize the disruption to the site. So we did, the parking bank, I would point you to, would be the one that's following parallel to Wentworth Road. So that double-loaded parking bank, for the most part, is going to be preserved. We just have to cut in some islands and reconfigure the access coming from that central corridor. But for the most part, that and the entranceway pavement is all going to be preserved. But everything that's kind of interior, if you will, between the two buildings will be new.
And the part that's staying was taken into account in your drainage
Yes.
engineering report?
Yeah, absolutely. We look at not only what is on site, but we look at the grading around the site and see if there's anything contributing on to us from abutting properties. So we always fold that in and just get an idea of what's existing and then analyze it versus what's proposed, and then design the infrastructure to accommodate, to mitigate it and lower it.
This particular area of the city does have a water problem, as I'm sure you are aware by now. And
Yes.
we may hear some opposition as a result of additional water drainage issues that they believe may occur. So that's why we met.
Yeah, that's what, sorry if I wasn't clear, we actually are reducing, even with this project as proposed, we're reducing the volume of runoff post-construction by 1/3 of what's leaving the site now.
Okay.
And then the rate that it leaves the site, we're reducing by 27%.
Okay, so it's a significant improvement. Are there any cross services between the Tobin Center and what's being proposed?
There is not anticipated, although there will certainly be ongoing discussions with the Quincy Housing Authority to talk about, transportational related issues and things of that nature, but there's no amenities being shared.
Okay.
The tenants from Tobin Towers don't have rights to this new building, nor do our tenants have rights to their building. But there will certainly be discussions about travel, about events and things of that nature that both parties may be interested in
So
participating.
QHA wasn't interested in having a bridge or a tunnel between the two buildings?
No, they may have been, but we didn't share that. But the amenities that have been created at their site were something that was considered to improve the existing experience for the folks at the Housing Authority by providing that nice outside seating. Right now, all the tenants at Quincy Housing Authority sit out front. My office is directly across the street, so I see them regularly, and they sit out front, and there's very limited exterior space, and this new space that's being created in the back is really a great amenity for them.
I'm assuming your trash removal will be by a private contractor?
Yes.
Yeah, those will be rolled out, so they'll be the tote style. And that number 7 that you see up there, that access aisle, so that's kind of back house, if you will, where you'll be able to have deliveries, move-ins, but also trash. And it'll be the same, with the way we designed the site was to be able to have someone be able to come in, pick up the trash from the existing Tobin Towers, and then just proceed and be able to pick up the trash from the new facility, and then exit out all in one move.
So your roof is going to be quite visible from the Tobin building, and they're going to be looking down at your roof. What do you have planned for your rooftop, if anything?
So because we're a passive house building, all of the mechanical systems will be electric. So there'll be a fair amount of mechanical equipment on that roof. That will take up the majority of it.
Have you considered any solar?
Yeah, so the building will be designed to be PV ready. So we'll bring in the infrastructure to put panels on the roof at a later time.
I see. Okay. I think you've answered all my questions for now.
That's all you have.
That's all. Thank you. Sorry.
Who will have access to these 94 units?
Check it out.
Michael, do you want to speak to that?
In terms of the residence unit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, do you want to talk?
It's just the income.
Right.
Having a number of seniors on the board here.
Yeah, I'm looking for the application. but I missed it here.
Hi, Mike Manos, Affordable Housing Services Collaborative, thank you. So as I think Attorney Fleming mentioned, this is going to be a senior site, 62 plus. It'll be a broad range of incomes from 30% of the area median income up to, I think we have a few at 80%, right, Dana?
Yes.
A handful sprinkled in there as well. Yeah, and so they're all one bedrooms, primarily based on our experience. There'll be primarily singles, but there may be, once in a while, a couple that will have, that will live together as well. That's what we anticipate for the type of residence. Is that what your question was?
Any priority for Quincy residents?
Oh, yes, so as part of the tenant selection plan, and that's something that Betsy can talk to in terms of Peabody's management process, but we will have a local preference that we'll try to get approved by the state for up to 70% on the initial lease-up of the property.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Where's ground zero for construction? Trucks, trailers, where's that all gonna fit in?
So there is already a general contractor that was selected for the project, and we've been working with them to try to understand the site constraints and understand. Fortunately, as it was mentioned, there isn't a lot of use of the parking lot now, so there is the ability to designate some laydown area, some safety areas to allow access in and out for the people that are parking for the existing Tobin Towers. It hasn't been fully vetted yet as far as construction routing and where those laydown areas will be, but we feel as though this is a pretty good site for designating that, given that we have some open area that isn't being fully utilized. We're used to highly dense urban spots where you have no area to work from, and you gotta really have it tight. We don't have that here. We have obviously existing impervious coverage too that affords us frankly to have a pretty clean site. It's not gonna be torn up too much until it absolutely needs to. So we can work that out. And that's probably what we're gonna be working on frankly over the next 3-4 months.
Park over edge.
I say for a couple of trailers across the street.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Brien?
Traffic? Do you have a traffic?
Evening.
Just so I can re-clarify, entrance on Clay Street, right, through the parking lot, entrance and exit on Wentworth?
Correct.
No exit on Clay?
Correct.
Okay. Numbers from coming out, daily trips, do you have the numbers coming off the
Yes.
site?
We do have one side that's over there, towards the back, in case someone asked. So, based on averages of similar locations, we would expect approximately the second row of numbers. We would expect approximately 9 trips, some in, some out in the morning peak hour, and a little less than 20 during the PM peak hour, 9 in and 9 out.
All right, so yeah, my question, I've been through this. I'm not sure where the exit is for the new building that's being built on Wentworth. Are they adjoining, or is the one on Wentworth at the other end? I can't recall.
Yeah, no, that's another building. The building on Wentworth that's being built right now has its own egress to and from a garage underneath the building. So
No,
it will
but I'm
not be
saying-
sharing that housing authority.
But is it on the
entrance.
same side as your egress and entrance?
It's in the
Or is
middle,
it
it's in the middle of the
that site?
building. Yeah, it's essentially close to the middle of that building. I believe it's close to the middle.
I just can't think of where it is. you know
Yeah, I
what
believe it's close to the middle of that building.
Because I think the proposed one on the other side, I think that's coming out, some of that's coming out of Wentworth too. Where the market is and the bank.
The garage is, and I believe, exiting. But it's exiting out, I think, further, closer to Hancock Street.
Yeah. See, what my issue in there, I don't know if you looked at this. My issue is that when they come out of Wentworth and they go to Hancock, there's no room to stack them to take a left at that light there. Okay? It's really difficult, and oftentimes they'll go by there and there'll be a car sitting in the middle of it. They can't get out. They can't get out of Wentworth onto Hancock northbound. And I propose that there be a no left turn coming out of Wentworth onto Hancock. I don't know if that's had any legs, but I don't know how far you are into that, but that might be something that you might want to consider with the increase in volume. Because Wentworth, there's minimal volume on Wentworth Street today. You know, even when those buildings were built and the markets were operating and the banks were in there, But you're adding, whatever you're adding is gonna be, have a large number of additional cars out Wentworth headed towards Hancock.
Well, yeah, but the volume of trips from this, I mean, we don't, because it's elderly affordable, there's, the level of traffic and the level of parking from this is really expected to be quite a bit lower than market rate. But to go back to your question about, you know, making limitations on the turning, that's really gonna be something that the city's gonna analyze as
Right.
these projects are built. So you're right, I mean, that might end up, I've gone out myself to that, and it's difficult because usually the traffic at that light is backed up.
Right.
So it is difficult sometimes to take a left. But that's gonna have to be something that's analyzed by the city.
Just keep that in mind
Yeah.
when, if it comes down to that, because you're adding 3 structures in there, and they're all exiting on Wentworth Street, and they're all going, I think the other ones, I think the consideration, most of them will go out to Hancock.
Right.
So,
I don't think we would necessarily be opposed with the city determining whether the safety at the signalized left turn related to the queuing there. I know in our discussions with the traffic engineer with the city of Quincy that she did want us to include an analysis over up to Beale Street and Chapman Street. So that was included in our analysis where if they were to take right turns to Beale Street and be able to turn right onto Beale Street, they would then also have a signalized left turn. They can go northbound on Hancock Street as well at that location.
I don't know what the future is for all the development that's proposed in there, but that's something that we can say we went on record, you know, we were addressing it, we're trying to address it. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
I have one last question for the council. Can you speak to any of the opposition that you might have received in this process and what you did to address any of the opposition?
Councilor Minton is still here, and Councilor Minton represents Ward 5, and at his request, we had a neighborhood meeting. I can't remember how many, probably maybe 20 or so people came to the meeting. I think the general feeling of the neighborhood was quite pleased with the type of use, elderly, affordable type of use, because of because it wasn't going to have the same kind of level of traffic. It wasn't going to have the same level of parking demand. So overall, there really wasn't a lot of opposition to the proposal as it was presented to the neighborhood. And I don't know that Councilor Minton really heard much after that either, because he would certainly have reached out to me, but he can certainly speak for himself.
We'll ask him to speak.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Madam Secretary, are there any letters that we've received?
There is nothing in opposition, there's nothing in favor, and there's one communication from DPW.
Russell,
They
one more.
worked with planning.
If I may add on again, I don't think I was properly introduced myself as well. I'll say that again. Doug Osler, Weston Sampson. I was the engineer to perform the traffic impact assessment. I just wanted to point out, he mentioned the low volume of trips that are expected, 18 in the PM peak hour. Of note, it is notable that it was 18 spaces, I believe, that were previously leased to the bank and other uses. So it might be fairly, I mean, it's not direct parking spaces to trips, but it relatively, there's a net change in there that is relatively similar. So could consider that for that.
Thank you. We have a short letter from the DPW you'll have written into the record.
To Martin Akins, Chairman, Zoning Board of Appeals from Chang Su, Senior Engineer, date September 2, 2025, 80 Clay Street, case number ZBA 25-39. We received and provided comments for this project at the Planning Board. All comments were provided, have been addressed properly. We do not have any further comments with the Zoning Board of Appeals at this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project? Council?
Good evening. My name is Dan Minton, 16 Sims Road. I'm the ward councilor for this area. Back in June, we had a meeting of about 35 people in attendance. Overall, the project was well received. Many of the residents were from 80 Clay Street. As I listen here tonight, I would like to see one change if possible, and it's not my field, but to have permanent preference to Quincy residents, not just initially. There's a significant need in Quincy for this. This team presented very well the concerns of the people in the audience. But the people that were there came up to me afterwards and they loved the project because it was affordable for seniors. So I do support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to speak in opposition to the project? In opposition? There's no opposition. Could we, Council, did you say that there was a person, someone said there was a person who would speak to the residents of Quincy and the acceptance and
Sure.
the list? Is that person present? Sure. Okay. May we hear from her? And specifically, I want you to address
Of course.
what the Councilor Minton mentioned.
Betsy Collins, I'm the Vice President of Development with Peabody Properties. And this project will be under the fair housing laws and under the approvals from the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. As such, they mandate how much of a local preference you can have. The maximum they allow is that 70%, and they also only allow it during the initial lease-up. So we're bound by those requirements to, only do it during the initial lease-up. Your wait list is maintained from that initial lease-up process, so to the extent you have existing Quincy residents on it, they stay on the list and they still get to be processed. But under the fair housing laws, we're not allowed to continue the preference after the lease-up. It is by lottery, so everybody who applies, which is another mechanism, everybody applies, there's not a, the first come, first served does not get any kind of preference, but the lottery is opened, all the applications come in, and then we take the 70% local preference first, and they get the first 70% of the units. But we are unfortunately restricted to not continue that practice after the lottery list is established.
That's a Massachusetts statute you mentioned?
Yeah, it's regulated, so.
Have any other
No,
questions?
I'm good.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Well, there is no opposition tonight, and it's unusual for a project of this size, but I think it speaks to all of the effort that you put in early on, and the meetings that you had with the council, and the presentations that you've made, and the concerns that you've addressed. So I'm quite confident that I think this project should go forward. Councilor, I think you heard the testimony about the Massachusetts statute having an impact on what you had recommended or suggested that you would like to see. And I don't think we can require the applicant to violate the statute, unfortunately. I do understand your concern, and I would be 100% behind you if we could do that, because this is a major Quincy project that we really do need. I'm in favor of the project.
I'm in favor as well. We desperately need senior housing. And maybe Councilor Minton could speak to Senator Keenan about getting some sort of legislation to a little bit more home rule these things. So definitely in favor, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm in favor as well. It's a well-presented, good plan, looks nice, and big need.
I concur. I think it's a beautiful looking building. You've done a nice job with the site. I'll be in favor.
Mr. O'Brien, do you have any concern about the left-hand turn off of Wentworth to
You
Hancock?
can't restrict them there, but I do have I have a concern about the left-hand turn from Wentworth to Hancock. But I also raised that when we approved the two other buildings that are there. And obviously, the traffic department didn't look at it or isn't concerned about it right now, but it's something that they might want to keep in mind once these projects become livable.
So it's fair to say that you're not conditioning your vote on
No, I
no left turn from Wentworth to Hancock?
It's food for thought.
Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's too restricted. I think they have to look at it.
Okay, may I have,
They're better at it than I am.
understood. May I have a motion, please?
You may. ZBA 2539 AHSC PBD Development LLC for a variance and special permit to construct a 7-story residential apartment building behind the existing QAH Tobin Towers building, which will consist of 94 one-bedroom with 22 parking spaces in addition to exterior surface parking on the premise numbered 80 Clay Street, Quincy. I make a motion to accept as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Concludes the meeting tonight.
We are adjourned at 7:45.
5 cases.
Motion to
without one-
adjourn?